Welcome to What is Crypto? I'm Matt and this is Crypto. Today I'm going to be talking to you about KASPA. Is everything all good at KASPA headquarters? Is there some infighting going on? What's the latest with KASPA and why haven't we seen a post from their main Twitter account over the last month? If you're interested in any of that or you want to get information like this just a bit quicker, then make sure you join my Discord. I leave a link in the description. Let's get straight into it. KASPA has transitioned to 10 blocks per second and it is now officially 6,000 times faster than Bitcoin, way faster than ETH and Sol, 10 blocks per second. Yeah, the cheater of crypto as it is labeled. And if you want to look at KASPA's main Twitter page, you can see that on the 6th of May, it's live. Nothing over the last 21 days. If you want to have a look at Jonathan Sompolinski or hashtag, the founder of KASPA, on the 6th of May, KASPA Crescendo. Great work, KASPA team. They've been crushing it, absolutely crushing it. So yeah, on that front, that is amazing. However, something that I have been wondering is why haven't KASPA been posting more? This is the biggest landmark that they have ever had. 10 blocks per second. It is a hallmark event for not just KASPA, but all of crypto. This is the fastest proof of work blockchain in existence. Why haven't they made another post? Even if it's just a little bit of engagement farming. This is a Twitter account with 250,000 followers. So yeah, I wanted to do a little bit of deep diving. So I had a look into Jonathan Sompolinski's Twitter. Couldn't find an enormous amount there. And after I had a look into Jonathan Sompolinski's Twitter and couldn't find a huge amount, I then had a look into Shai Waborski or Deshe. So Shai is the KASPA researcher and one of the authors of the Ghost Egg paper. He's a quantum cryptographer, hugely intelligent man, and he is hugely vocal when it comes to KASPA. So I thought he would be a great place to have a look. So I've gone on Shai's Twitter and I've scrolled down into a section on any questions. Now, one of the questions was, what's going on with the main X account? No posts since Crescendo, an account with 250k followers not taken advantage of. Now, I really agree with this, and I wanted to have a look at what Shai said. So, Jonathan decided to squander a precious community resource because he happened to have the key. I strongly disagree with the decision, as well as how it was executed. Humiliating long contributing community members and sabotaging their efforts on a whim. I voiced this disdain several times and was ignored. You can take this up with him. I gave up. Immediately, that is mildly concerning. Now, that's not fudding KASPA, but it's a bit of a shame there is some disagreements between Shai and Jonathan. Now, this is just a very brief look over that. Still, what they're working on is probably the most exciting project in all of crypto, in my opinion. So that account won't be used anymore. And then Shai, I don't know, ask the guy with the keys who treats it like his personal property. And then further down, someone says that's not a great decision at all. It's got the most reach, should be used as the mouthpiece for it and by the community. And then Shai says preaching to the choir. If you've been wondering why KASPA's Twitter page has not been super active, there is a little bit of information. Anyway, that's just a little bit of information about what's going on at KASPA and why their main Twitter page has not been active. Anyway, let's have a little bit of a look at the chart. So KASPA, as you can see, this is on the 3-day. We ranged for a year and a half from November 23 really until January 25, hugely long period of time. Now, key levels there were at the bottom at 10.4 cents and then at the top really around that just under the 19-cent mark. So we really bounced up and down in between those levels before breaking down. We were in this falling wedge pattern. Then we broke out of that, reclaimed a couple of key levels and then reclaimed the major key level here at 10.4 cents, which was our long-term range low. Every time we tapped 10.14, we would bounce up above it until we broke down below, retested it, and then, fell below. Then when we came back up to it, it was resistance, resistance, and then we flipped it, and now it's acting as support, and we're having a fairly nice looking candle today. What am I looking for next? I really want us to hold over this level. If we can, I expect a continuation on up with a few key levels sitting at the 12.1 cent mark, 14.8 cent mark, 17 cents, but just under the 19 cent mark, and then up to all-time highs. Now, I still do think KASPA is going to have a hugely bullish bull run, and I think one of the reasons that they haven't absolutely pumped is due to a little bit of lack of communication from the team. It'd be absolutely wonderful if they could get a little bit more active online, as that would be more bullish for KASPA, and a lot of people want to see what they're up to as they're working on some very cool stuff. So yeah, that is KASPA. Quite like the price at the moment, but we need to have a look at Bitcoin first, as really everything follows Bitcoin. So we want Bitcoin to be performing quite strongly, and when Bitcoin is cooking, everything else in the market has a good chance of outperforming. So what is Bitcoin doing? Well, we were in this range, broke down below it, and then since then we have pumped, consolidated, pumped, consolidated, pumped, consolidated, pumped, a little bit of a retrace, and it looks like we are continuing on up. Key level to hold is that 106 level, and then next one under that is around the 98, with a little bit of a mid-range there at 102. So really we want to hold that 106k mark, and as soon as we do put in a new all-time high, I think we're likely going to send it straight to 120k. Over this time, altcoins, in my opinion, are going to start outperforming Bitcoin if this cycle is anything like what we have seen in the past. Now, what I like to see is Ethereum. Ethereum is performing quite strong. We're coming up to a little bit of resistance here. However, the more times that you tap resistance, the more likely you are to break above it. Once Ethereum breaks above this range, I think it's going to quite quickly send up towards 3.5k. Now, why am I talking about Ethereum in a KASPA video? Well, much like Bitcoin, Ethereum is super important when it comes to altcoins. Ethereum arguably is just as important, if not more important, when it comes to altcoins. For an altcoin season, historically, we have always had a big run in Ethereum. So watch Ethereum. And if you're betting against Ethereum, you're really betting against an altcoin season. So you do not want to do that. Even though KASPA is not built on Ethereum, it is still hugely important for that altcoin cycle. So yeah, I wouldn't be betting against Ethereum if I was you. Also, the Bitcoin Ethereum pairs. So if we want to look at it on the weekly, one of the most ugly charts in crypto, Ethereum, Bitcoin. What do we want to see? Well, we have came into a good level of support. We want to see Ethereum start to outperform Bitcoin. As a first level, we want to push up towards this greater resistance line. So that's a great first place to start. From there, we can talk about flipping it. But before then, we really just need to start outperforming Bitcoin. Looking at it on the daily as opposed to the monthly, you can see that we are starting to have some outperformance of Ethereum. Now, it's the strongest outperformance that we've had in roughly a year, so it is a good first stepping stone for Ethereum to start to show a little bit of strength. That being said, it's still got absolutely battered, so it's got a huge amount of distance to catch up on before we can really say that Ethereum is performing well. Other than that, another couple of ones to look out for. So the US dollar index. Historically, the US dollar index, when it has gone down, that has been bullish for the markets. So we have been just flirting with breaking down below this range, and it looks like we will. These were the highs in the 2017-2018 bull run and in the 2020-2021 bull run. So as you can see, the highs were after a sharp breakdown. There is an inverse relationship between dollar strength and the performance of risk on markets. So when the US dollar is weak, more money is coming into the markets. We want to see a breakdown in US dollar strength, and we have just seen big move down in US dollar strength. So continuation to the downside for that would be bullish for altcoins. And the only other one that I'm going to touch on is Bitcoin dominance. So this marks the strength of Bitcoin versus the market. When we have a breakdown in Bitcoin dominance, this is good for altcoins as the dominance of Bitcoin is falling. When we have an increase in Bitcoin dominance, this is bad for altcoins as Bitcoin's dominance is increasing. So we want to see a decrease in Bitcoin dominance. Now, that is not something that we have seen in a long time. We are still in an uptrend, and we have been in an uptrend now for 3 years. Bitcoin dominance is still definitely growing, although if you want to look at it on the daily as opposed to the monthly, we are starting to get a little bit of movement south. However, nothing set in stone. This is still in an uptrend by and large. We want to see a breakdown in Bitcoin dominance. Alrighty, that's pretty much all I want to talk about today. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you got any value out of this video. Also, I've got a Discord if you want to join that. I'll leave a link in the description, and you can follow me on Twitter, and you can also find my Discord there. Either way, I appreciate it. I appreciate you, and I'll catch you in the next one.